call to order the regular city council meeting for Monday, June 13th. Can we say the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Lanyon.
Present.
Pratt.
Here.
Bellinger.
Here.
Rhines.
Here.
Gilroy.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
All right, and moving along, we have approval of the agenda for this evening. If there's no changes that need to be made.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And now we have an opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. Is there any audience member that would like to come forward? Come on up, Adam.
Try to get out of here before the rain starts.
Right.
So good evening, my name is Adam Spina, I'm the superintendent with Williamston Community Schools. And first of all, thank you as always for your continued service. And I'm just here for a few minutes just to kind of give some high-level updates from the past year. You should have received a copy of the newsletter in the mail probably about a week ago, but just in case, I provided another copy. And that kind of hits most of the highlights. One of the great things about Williamston, there's a ton of stuff that didn't make the cut. And so we try to celebrate those accomplishments in some other ways. And so if you're looking for more information, you can always go to our website, go to wcs.net. And just underneath the banner on the homepage, you scroll down, there's a section called The Buzz. And that's where we put all our good news stories. So I encourage you to take a look at that if you haven't already. But just some high-level accomplishments from last year. One of the things we're really proud of is that prior to COVID, for the 3 years leading up to the pandemic starting, we had the highest enrollment increases in Ingham County. Obviously then COVID happened, and then this year, I would not call this year a normal year, but we resumed our pre-COVID trend as having the highest enrollment gains in the area. So we're back on the right track as far as that goes. Highest graduation rates in the area. In fact, we're 17th out of over 1,200 high schools in the state for graduation. Ton of athletic titles, hopefully one more on Saturday, but
Yes.
got to play the games, so we'll see how that works out. And then just a ton of awards. And I think the tribute for that entirely rests with, it's a combination, right? I wrote about this in my update last Friday. We have an awesome faculty and staff who have been through a lot, do a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see to make things work every day, and have really persevered through some really tough times. Our parents have stuck with us because we've thrown a ton of curveballs at them, not intentionally, but it's just kind of the way the cookies crumbled the last few years. And they've backed us up and been very understanding during some things that have been particularly difficult. And then our students, kids are resilient, but that being said, they've had to deal with a lot. And so, we talked about opportunities to get better, and the stuff you hear about mental health and students really working through that, it's true. And we've dealt with more of those issues this past year than I can ever remember in over 20 years in education. So it's very true. I think the strength of our community and the fact that we look out for each other has played a significant role in the success we've had, but we're not out of the woods yet with that. And we're going to continue to do everything we can do on our part. But again, we need our community to continue to look out for each other. They're all our kids, and it takes all of us to get them through these tough times. That said, just a couple things that are coming up that are of importance. This summer is going to be extremely busy. We have literally millions of dollars of work being done across all of our campuses. Outside of a bond, I can't think of a busier summer. So we've been able to utilize federal stimulus dollars. We're going to be enhancing our HVAC systems in a couple of our buildings. We're using our sinking fund. Remember 3 years ago, I probably came here and talked about that. One of the big items on the sinking fund was that all our buildings would have secured entrances, and by the end of this summer that'll be the case. The last 2 campuses that don't have that are Discovery Elementary and our preschool building, and that's about a $550,000 investment to make sure that all our buildings have those secured entrances. We're replacing the entire roof on Discovery Elementary. That's about a $750,000 project. This summer, it still has the original roof from when it was built in 1996, and obviously Michigan winters are tough on facilities. And then one other item, which I enclosed the handout in your packet there. In November, we will be asking the community to, again, support the community recreation millage. And this is essentially, from my perspective as an educator, this keeps $362,000 in the classroom to give back to our students, programs, curriculum, staff. And it keeps us from having to pull that money out of the classroom to keep, well, it's basically to keep the pool open. I mean, let's be honest, that thing's the money pit. But it also subsidizes our weight room, the maintenance staff that we use to maintain our fields and grounds. You know, and everybody gets touched by that recreation millage in some way. If you have kids that play in stings, or if you participate in yoga or water aerobics, I mean, there's a whole, I mean, it just goes on and on. The 2 different dances we just ran the last 2 weekends, we did a daughter's night out and then the son's +1, 900 participants. So it is really a place for the community to kind of come together, and, you know, everyone's up to their own devices in terms of the investment, but it's 0.7321 of a mil, and in exchange for that, there's a tons of different things that are provided. The QR code on the handout would point you to the page on our website that specifically talks about that millage renewal if you're interested in more information. And then I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the thing that I always talk about at these updates, which is probably our most pressing macro level issue from at least the perspective of the school district, but I know that we're not alone in this, which is the housing, or lack thereof of housing inside of Williamston. And I get it, I'm not an expert on how all that works. All of you know a lot more than I do. I can simply convey that I hear about this every day. I hear about this probably more than anything else. And considering some of the things that have happened the last 3 years, that's saying something. But 1 out of every 4 to 1 out of every 5 students in Williamston is a school choice student. In most cases, those are families that want to bring their kids here. They're driving, in some cases, 20, 30, 40 minutes one way to bring their students to go to school here, their children, but they can't find a home. We have staff that are driving as far away as Frankenmuth every day to come here, and it's not like they don't want to live here. They do. But again, they can't find a home. I used to phrase this as like lack of affordable housing, but I don't know if that exists anymore, so now it's just like lack of housing. But, you know, again, it's not a critique or a criticism. I think it's just, you know, situational awareness that from the school's perspective, this is something we hear about all the time. I think there's a lot of secondary and tertiary effects that this has, not on the school, but also on the business community, in terms of, you know, I always tell the chamber, you know, every day during the school year, there's literally like 400 families that drive right by your businesses to drop their kids off, and then turn around and drive right back past them again to go shopping in Hazlitt or Fowlerville or Perry. And so I think there's some opportunity there. We would love to partner on that. I know there's only so much the city can do because you're kind of landlocked, so to speak. But we would love to partner with that. And I say all that not because we want to be DeWitt. We don't want to have a Class A giant high school where we don't know our kids. I think that's one of our strengths, is our size. We know our kids, we know their families, we know their parents, we know the things they worry about, the things they like, the things they don't like, and our kids just aren't like a number, right? And so our size is our strength, but at that same side of things, school choice only model in terms of sustaining our enrollment isn't going to work in the long term, because obviously it's better when those families are living in the community, and for a whole host of reasons. So I'll kind of leave it at that. You know, but again, if there's any, I don't know if you can ask questions and citizen comments or not, but if there's anything else that I can address either now or later, I'd be happy to do so.
We've got your information here, and I would just suggest if you council members do have a question that you'd like to follow up with Adam, take that opportunity to do that. And thank you so much for being here this evening.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Do I have any other audience participation at this moment? All right, we're going to keep moving on then. I'm looking for approval of council meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2022, if there's no changes to be made.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Support that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. All right, motion carries. And now we have an opportunity for accounts payable.
Hi, John. I did have a chance to go through all the ledger and all the invoices, and I did want to cross one question. I have one check which is listed as check number, hang on here, 75536, It's for $14.88, but it's not listed in the ledger. So I have an invoice, but it's not on the ledger. So my question would be, do we postpone that and put it on the next one, or do we do a friendly amendment, add it, or?
I would remove it if there's. Yeah,
Because it
if
might
it's-
not be in the
yeah,
grand
if it's-
total.
Yeah, if it's missing, then go ahead and remove it.
Just
Yeah.
remove it. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve checks 75527 dated 5-19 through check 75598 dated 5/25, ACH 263 through 267 for a total of $126,042.15.
Thank you, Noah. And I had a question, but I was able to look through the register really quick, and that was, it was easily answered. The one question I have, John, is on the very bottom of the first page, there's a check for Gormley. Doesn't that usually come through DDA budget?
It does.
Okay.
yeah. So
All right.
that might have been a coding mistake.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. Other than that, does anyone have any questions regarding accounts payable for this evening? All right, I'm looking for support for Noah's motion.
Support.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Grimes,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Bellinger.
Yes.
All right, now moving on, we have our Capital Area District Library Annual Report, and Julie is here. Come on down, Julie.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you in person.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, all right. I am joined tonight by our Technology Director for Cattle, Cheryl Knox, and one of our newest board members, Brian Baer. So,
Welcome.
welcome.
Thank you for coming.
All right, as most of you know, not all of you, I'm Julie Krasinski, and I'm the head librarian at the Williamston branch of Capital Area District Libraries. And thanks for letting me share library highlights from last year, 2021. Last year was a wild ride, to be sure. The year started with the libraries all being closed to the public, and we were operating virtually door side, via telephone, you know, doing member service in all the ways we could that were safe. As the year progressed, we were able to eventually open our doors to the public again and be able to participate in more in-person activities. Some of the stuff that we were doing some story times and book discussions. We didn't do a lot of stuff. We are still, you know, being semi-cautious, having things outside when we can, opening up all our windows, keeping the air moving, trying to exchange that air. So we were happy to do that. And some places we were also happy to get back were to the senior center, where we do at least one monthly program a month over there. And we love connecting with them. And one thing we did last year that was fun and different is that we had our debut of Cattle's Book Bike in the Red Cedar Jubilee Parade. And our director, Scott Dimstra, was brave enough to ride that on its maiden voyage in that parade. That's a cool thing. The former head librarian in Williamston, Michelle Rousseau, who is passed now, it was her idea and proposal to get this book bike made. It was especially made and designed trike that opens up and you can have shelves in it, and so you can use it for all kinds of outreach things, and it's just really cool, and it's all branded, and it's got like flames on it and a cool license plate and everything. So that was a fun new thing we got to do last year for outreach. But even with all the limitations we faced last year and the challenge that it was to transition back into in-person service, considering I had staff that I hired while we were close to the public that had never waited on people in person before, my staff found lots of ways to continue to make personal connections, which is what the library is all about, you know. We use social media a lot to present things like Cattle Tales Live story times, monthly take and make craft kits for all ages, not just kids, STEM activity kits, grab and go book recommendations for those people who miss going and picking books off the shelf or just finding new things. They gave us a few keywords and ideas, and we picked things for them. So that was kind of fun. Probably our greatest achievement last year was bringing Cattle's Student Success Initiative to Williamston schools. Now, that gave every student access to library service. We were the last school district in the whole service area of Cattle to come on board with that. So it was very, very important to me that we made it happen. And the school is a phenomenal partner. And they worked very well with us and all the IT people that are involved. It took a lot of different parties and moving parts to make it happen, but it was well worth it. We made sure the students and educators were aware of the vast resources that were available to them from Cattle and helped teach them how to use those resources. We've only touched the surface of it, and we look forward to continuing it and for following school years. And last, something fun, we rounded out the year, we brought back the rooftop landing reindeer. It was like in first weekend in December, it was a beautiful afternoon, and we had a radio station was there, you know, broadcasting right from it, and we had kits for people to take and treats, and it was fantastic, and we were mobbed. People were so ready to be out and doing something fun, and getting their kids out, and getting ready for the holiday season. So it was fun to end the year on that note. Right now, we are in the midst of a busy summer reading season for all ages. Sign up, cattle.org/summer. We're trying to hit 10 million minutes this year for the library service district. So everybody's tallying counts and matters. We're also, probably the big thing for this year is educating our public about the millage restoration vote, which is August 2nd, trying to bring our millage back up to its original amount of 1.56 mils. It's a tiny, tiny little bit that we need to restore, so we can't say it's a straight renewal. We're trying to get it back up to where it was when we first started. But that little bit means a lot to cattle and what we can do. So we're working on explaining that to everyone and letting them know what it goes for. But that's it for me in a nutshell, so I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Julie? That's a tremendous update, and I'm so glad that
thanks.
things are back to normal, and it's always a pleasure when you're here.
We're getting there.
Yes, and
Yep.
if nobody has any questions, I will go ahead and just suggest, if you do come up with something,
Yep.
stop into the library.
Yep, and I
see
have
Julie.
information about our millage here, I can leave that. And also there is a link to our annual report that I sent to Holly, so if anybody wants the digital one, you can get it. But if you'd like a hard copy, just let me know,
Sure.
send me an email or drop in and we'll get you one.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll leave these here. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Okay. All right, moving along, on our agenda, we have our action items. We have 3 items this evening. The first is the acceptance of council resignation and timeline for new appointment to council. Councilman Siebel did tender his resignation, back on, the 23rd, and I just want to publicly thank him for his short time on council. It's always difficult when we have council members leave because that leaves a empty seat at our table. But now we can start our process of seeking out applications for somebody to be appointed to the seat. And if anybody in the viewing community would like to sit at council with us, you can contact City Hall and they can go through the steps and process for that. We do have a 60-day window, and so hopefully we will get some applications in. Council members, if you know of anybody that would like to serve the community, please reach out to them and ask if they would be interested, and Holly can answer any questions that they may have.
What's the
So-
residence requirement? Is it 2 years? 3
Yes, yeah.
2 years.
Yep, and this seat will only go until November of this year because it's fulfilling a term up to the election, so then
November 30th.
November 30th. But if that person would like to remain on council, then they could move quickly and get signatures on petitions to be put on the ballot, which I'm sure you all received your emails from Holly. For those of you whose seats are coming up, if you are interested, please make sure to get your signatures and get your petitions filled in and submitted to Holly so you can be on the November ballot. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to accept the council resignation and timeline for the appointment to council.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Councilman Siebel and the timeline for refilling that vacancy.
Okay. All right.
Support.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Bellinger,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
All right, next we have our rate study for water and wastewater, and John, you put a memo in here for us, but I'd like to turn this over to you.
Sure, thank you, Mayor Gilroy, members of council. Good to see everybody after a
3 week break, it always seems like a long time when you're just 5 Mondays. So we talked about this at length during our budget work sessions about the need to update our water and wastewater rate review. It's been about 9 years since we've done that. It wasn't actually Baker Tilly like it says in the memo, it was a company that Baker Tilly's acquired, but it's a lot of the same folks that work there. So it's split equally financially between water and wastewater, $12,250 each, and it would be paid for out of the budget that starts on July 1st, 2022. You can see in the packet, I mean, Baker Tilly they're really the company to go to for rate studies in Michigan. There are other companies that do a fine job, but you can see even like locally, they're doing the city of Wausau, they're doing the city of Durand, which I'm from, so at least for whatever it's worth. So they have quite a bit of experience just in the last couple of years, just in our general area. So happy to answer any questions you may have. The proposal is very detailed on what they'll be looking at for us, and that will really help set the stage for us as we do, short, mid, and long-term capital improvement planning for our water and wastewater systems.
All right, great, thank you, John.
See, it's been 9 years since the
9
last
years.
one?
Yep.
That's a long time.
Yes.
Was this the one that we talked about in the past where one of these studies may fluctuate depending on the depth of their study or something? They're gonna have to, maybe some testing, do we account for that?
Yeah, I think that from, again, the way, the methodology that you're using, it's why it's a little bit more expensive. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty deep dive into the financial aspects of your system.
Yeah.
And one thing you get when you're done, and the reason that you don't have to update it, go through this process every year like an audit or like an actuarial for OPEB, you get a financial tool, which is basically a fancy spreadsheet. And it's not proprietary. Once the work is done, it's yours, and then you can manipulate that through time.
Right.
But just a lot of assumptions have changed in the last decade, obviously.
Right. Right, and it's a good time to do it, especially with our upcoming projects that we're going to be doing.
That's right.
So that we can see where we can move into the future with additional projects. Because those will take funding, and we, may not be as fortunate to receive funding to supplement what we would have to do. So I think this is great. It's money well worth spent at the end of the day, because it's going to give us a road plan or, a path to what we need to do in case we do need to manipulate rates.
One other plug, the Baker Tilly office, Andy Campbell, the principal who'd be doing the work for us, is right in the East Lansing office.
Great.
So it's not like he's traveling long distances or when or if he has to travel. So it's great that they're local.
Excellent. And Terry, you have a
So, as I
question?
understand it, we get a tool on this. We don't just get a thing that says, this is where you stand, this is what we recommend. You can then parameterize it, you can change the things in it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So we say, we don't want to, we get this $3 million thing from the feds, and so we could put that into there and then push that around and make different outputs.
That's correct.
Yeah, it'll give us good guidance.
Very cool.
And you can also, the biggest thing moving forward is like the assumptions, and Dr. Spina spoke about a little bit about housing. Obviously, housing has an impact. If you have new housing, you have more customers theoretically, and that can impact your rates. So that's one of the other variables that comes with the tool.
Okay. If there are no other questions for John or discussion, I'm looking for that motion.
I'd make a motion to contract Baker Tilly for the 2022 rate study for water and wastewater for the not to exceed the amount of $24,500.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. If there's no other questions or discussion, I'll ask Holly to call the roll, please.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Bellinger,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes. All right, our last action item for this evening is reappointment to Jeff Markstrom to the Planning Commission for a term to expire 6/30/2025. I'm looking for that motion.
Make a motion to reappoint Jeff Markstrom to the Planning Commission for a term to expire 6/30/25.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Hanson,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Bellinger,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon.
Yes.
All right, that concludes our action items for this evening. Moving along to our agenda, discussion items. We do not have any correspondence received and information only. We did not receive any. So I'll move right into department head reports and go right to John.
Thank you, members of council, Mayor Gilroy. Big couple weeks coming up. I mean, we have Jubilee, which is gonna be awesome. This will be my first time here in a work capacity. I've been here before. Full disclosure, I love a good beer tent. Let's call it what it is, so.
Absolutely.
Look forward to seeing folks there. With refreshments.
Yes.
Yeah. We do have.
Food and beverage.
Chamber lunches, I've started up again.
Good.
We had one last month, and I had the pleasure of sitting next to our library director, which was great.
Excellent.
Got to meet her there, so we have a chamber meeting this Thursday. We do have EDC and EDA meetings, or EDC TIFA and EDA meetings next week, which is great, a lot of good progress happening there. And then at the next council meeting we have, we'll have the first look at road diets. We have a presentation on that, and actually suspend the rules and have a work session on that during the meeting, so that's good. So yeah, a lot of good things happening. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions for John? No? All right, thank you. We did receive a very full report from Livingston County Department of Building and Safety Engineering. They handled our building department permits and requests. So if you do have any questions regarding the report that is in, please direct those to John, and then he can contact Livingston County for us. But it does look like there's still continued work being done in residential areas and some commercial, and that's good to see that growth happening. I will go right to our subcommittee reports. Did anybody have a meeting with one of their boards that they would like to share information?
I had an opportunity to attend the NISA board meeting, and it was a very full schedule. A lot was accomplished during the meeting. One of the two major things that was accomplished, they put together a new wage schedule for the part-time and full-time EMT and paramedics. And it goes through the different, how many years they've been there and cost of living, and it's covered within their budget. That was approved.
Okay.
And then they also did a proposed wage schedule for paid on call with some increases, and that was also approved at that time.
All right.
And then Franz, who was a member at large before, was reelected as the member at large again. He was the only applicant
Okay.
that submitted the letter for consideration.
I just had to have Franz at my house because my refrigerator died.
So that's my
Yeah,
report.
Yes, excellent.
Thanks for
All right.
filling in.
Thank you so much. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? All right, okay. We have another opportunity for audience participation. I don't see anybody in the audience, so I'm just gonna keep moving right along, and I will go to council member comments. I'll start with Tom down in the end.
Nothing from me.
All right, Terry,
Looking forward to Jubilee.
excellent.
Yeah.
Noah,
We got the tennis, or volleyball that's up for
excellent,
this weekend in the park, and a couple of individuals were using it for parties already for
Yeah.
graduation.
awesome,
So Kiwanis did that, and we had a great time doing it. So.
great. I'm gonna skip over Dan and go to Brandon.
Nothing for me, I'll
All right.
cede my time to.
All right, Dan, we're 1 week out, so I know that you got your shirt on, you got your hat with you, you were probably working before you got here, but quick update.
So, if you want some new Jubilee merch, our good friend, Will Long at the Studio Shop is providing all kinds of great Jubilee merch. He's gonna have a table in the beer tent, but it's also available, in
Nice.
his shop already.
That's
He's got
great.
about 6
Very
different
nice.
variations of this hat that he made.
Awesome.
He was working on baby onesies when I was in there the
Oh
other
my
day.
gosh.
He's got all kinds of stuff. So that'll be cool.
Nice.
Those are cool.
We're
Yeah.
always looking for more
Thank you.
more floats and whatnot in the parade. So if you would interested in participating in the parade, you can contact our parade director, Tammy Scott, at info.williamston.org. So that would be great. We got all of our trailers moved today, which was huge.
It's looking good.
We got, everything's starting to come around, things are going really well. I was telling council earlier, as we were chatting before the meeting, one of the big changes for this year, if you would like to buy your Demolition Derby tickets in advance, those will be available starting Wednesday in the tent, so you don't have to wait in that long line Saturday. That's a big change.
That's a great idea.
You also can buy your Boy Scout pancake breakfast tickets in advance.
Nice.
Those are all available. The Boy Scouts have a website up for that, and you can find their event. It's been shared out on the Jubilee Facebook page, but also their own. So there's different links to their tickets for things you can do in advance. I know the Kiwanis Craft Show is coming along. I've been getting a lot of questions about theirs. They've got a lot of good vendors coming, so that'll be great. And we've got the food truck, a lot of the food trucks coming back. We have a new food truck, one new food truck this year. Elma's Antoitos, she's supposedly has phenomenal Mexican food, I was trying to remember, tamales. She apparently makes very good tamales, she'll be here Friday and Saturday. A lot of the similar trucks to what we had last year, but it's gonna be a good time. Check out our website for the full schedule, and we're just plugging away, getting things ready to go.
Excellent.
And your
Well,
website is
redcedarjubilee.com.
.com.
And we also have a full schedule, if you want to zoom in on it, that's pinned to the top of the Facebook page, which is the same Red Cedar Jubilee Facebook. And we have, our pamphlets are out in a lot of the businesses in town. Actually, I had somebody swing by work today because I have a big box of pamphlets sitting in the front seat of my truck. They're like, oh, I got 4 different businesses that stopped me in the park that needed more. So I think
fantastic.
Tavern 109 grabbed some to go in Tavern today and a few other places, but.
Two things are really, I grabbed a pamphlet from Admiral gas station the other day, and they're really good looking pamphlets. Like,
Good.
a lot better than in the past, colorful, and, they look good. And then the other day, driving to work, I heard a Red Cedar Jubilee commercial on Q106, which was pretty cool.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
we started that last year. We advertise on Q106, 92.9 and 94.1. We've had ads going since about the beginning of June. They'll run through Jubilee, so that is very cool. And our friend Don down at Limner Press, if you need any printing done, Don is just amazing. He's brought, in the last 2 years, he's brought the cost of printing those pamphlets down by over half, and then we've actually doubled the amount we've got, and they're a better looking product. And that's just through talking to him, and he'd go, hey, you guys bring this to me at the last minute. If you would bring it to me and give me about 2 weeks' notice, I can do all this stuff for you. So if you have, he does professional printing, he does weddings, everything. Don and Wendy are absolutely amazing. He's been in the printing business for like 60 years, so
Yeah.
go
He's
talk
awesome.
to Don.
I have a question, and I don't know if this has ever been done in the past, but with all of the wonderful restaurants we have here in town that do amazing takeout, have you guys ever thought of having the restaurants add pamphlets into the takeout orders?
We have not, that's a good idea. That's a good
So
idea.
that, I want credit for that for next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I'm gonna have to try and remember that.
okay, I will remind
Remind me.
you. I know where you live.
Yep,
Yep. So, yeah, so I think, I mean, that would
That's a
increase the
great
word,
idea.
you know, out there,
That's a great idea.
quite a lot.
But what's your sense of the out of Williamston, outside of town participation in the Jubilee thing? So there's 3,000 people in
It's huge.
Williamston and
Have you
most
ever been to a beer
everybody's gonna-
tent on a Friday or Saturday night?
No.
Or
It's, so, it's shoulder to shoulder.
How many people came to the demolition derby last year?
So we think there's about 2,500 people at the
Yeah.
Demo Derby last year.
That's
It was the
pretty big.
biggest derby,
Yeah.
attendance wise, we had in 12 or 13 years.
How do you
Um,
pack 2,500 people?
So we have those, if you drive by there, tonight we finished putting, well, I was gonna say we finished moving bleachers, but we're moving in 5 more sections of bleachers. Years and years ago, the Jubilee bought aluminum bleachers for the school and donated them. So we have all those old football bleachers that were the away side bleachers before the football renovations. We have those that we bring out, set those up, and then there's hill seating, and then the school allows us to borrow those aluminum bleachers that we donated to bring them back and set them up for during Jubilee. So we get the 5 sets of the aluminum bleachers, the giant tandems from the football field, and then we absolutely pack that hill.
Yeah, it's
And
packed.
If you want a good seat, you gotta get there.
You get there early,
It is
obviously,
early.
why they're selling the tickets early.
That's why we're doing the tickets early, because then we don't delay the start by 45 minutes because the line's to Grand River. That's also,
How long until the last car dies, or the last car's?
so it depends
It
on,
varies.
it depends on the year. So in the past, like you can no longer do this because the lights are all stationary, but they used to have to cut the entries off at 50 cars, and they would turn the lights around on the football stadium to shine down in the derby pit, because it would run till midnight.
Yeah.
Typically now, we run about a 2.5 hour show, but it all depends on the number of vehicles that show up. So we brought back, for the audience, we brought back, as Tommy was saying a couple weeks ago, what we call the gut and go class, which is what the old school drivers used to like. You just knock the windows out, you gotta move your gas tank. and you can drive it. Which is kind of how the Derby started, was with a lot of that. Chris has got 4 or 5 other classes going to, and it all depends on how many cars show up in each class, how long but we typically run about a 2.5 hour show.
So is that just one bunch of cars and they kill each other and that's it? There's 4 or 5 classes
So what we
cars?
have is we have an enduro race, which is, it's like a demolition derby, but it's a car race at the same time, so you gotta run 20 laps. But I'm allowed to hit you into the wall, and if your car can't complete the 20 laps, well, that's one less car I can worry about.
Yeah.
But my car has to make it, so we have that, and they do 3-4 heats, and then a championship depending on the number of cars that show up. Then you have the gut and go class, then we have, if enough trucks show up, we're gonna have a truck class. And then you have limited weld, so different styles of cars that'll compete against each other, and it's all based on.
You better get your ticket early.
Good.
That's
The
an
grand-
easy
the
sale
grand
right
finale
there.
is the big cars.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the big cars, Tommy's run for years and years, I keep waiting for a car to show up in front of his house, cause he says he retired last year, but I don't believe it.
You got a week.
Yeah, we've done it less.
Yeah, I bet you have. Are you gonna do the little kids dirt
Yes.
demo? Okay,
So
so
what
that's a
is-
fun little thing
The
too.
little kids.
So-
There's little kids.
So what this is you have, the battery powered kids little Tykes cars. And this was something Tommy brought in when he was heading up the Derby. He'd seen it at other derbies, so we've been doing it the last 5 or 6 years now. Is you put balloons on the front and the back of each of these cars, and then we have drain tile that we set out, it's their little track, and you put them all in there, and they go to town, and the last kid with a balloon left wins. My kids absolutely love it. My oldest won once, and then last year, it was my middle kid's first year that he was old enough to be in it. And I had charged the battery the night before, and me running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm in line taking money out by Grand River, and somebody, your kids are crying in the pit. And I go running there, and Tommy's dragging the car out because the battery died. I go, I charged that thing last night. But no, the kids absolutely love it.
Good.
It's fun.
Excellent.
That's a huge
Crowd
thing.
likes it.
Yeah.
The dunk tank's back this year. I know there's a lot of people that are signed up for the dunk tank, and that is a joint operation between Jubilee and the Chamber. The Chamber sets up all the schedule for it, and they get different organizations to provide people for it. And then it is a split fundraiser between the Chamber and the organization that provides a person. So if you see somebody from downtown down there in the dunk tank, go ahead and go buy some balls.
There's a rumor that the mayor is not gonna be in the dunk tank. Is that true?
I'm not.
Well,
It's a shocking rumor. I just can't believe it.
I had to respectfully decline the invitation this year.
A picture
They
from
didn't
the,
say, the new manager.
I can't swim.
there is a picture of the mayor in the dunk tank that happens to be in a Facebook ad going around Facebook right now.
That's fantastic.
So if you wanna see that.
Yeah.
She's surrounded by a couple of our great reserves.
Yes,
and
that my husband
it's
gave
a-
them money to, because they didn't have any.
So there's all kinds of fun stuff that's going on, and it's gonna be a great week, and I can't wait.
I'm gonna keep my comments short. Thank you so much for the update, because I think that's the most important thing when we get into May and June, is hearing about Jubilee. And just the ability to be with our community throughout that week. Father's Day is this coming weekend, so, no, I'm sorry, 2 weekends. Father's Day is 2 weekends from now. No, it is this coming weekend,
Sunday.
sorry. So that kind of kicks off Jubilee. But our town will be busy. We will have a lot of guests coming into town that don't necessarily live here in this community, so I just ask that our community welcome them and enjoy the week, and get out there and buy your ducks, buy your golf balls, buy your early tickets for the demo night, for the pancake breakfast. Just have an amazing time in our community during Jubilee week. Hope to see you all out there at some point in time. And good job, and I can't wait to hear the follow-up when we come back, Dan. So I appreciate that. And with that, I will go ahead and adjourn at 7:39.